Hello, and welcome to the vlog. Hi, I'm Jim from Whatnot Adventures, and I hope you're having a great day. We're having a good day here. Blue skies, hardly any clouds. Well, today, folks, I'm in Bangburg County, South Carolina, at the Battle of the Rivers Bridge State Historic Site. This is a place of history. A Civil War battle took place here, and I thought we would come check this out and see what there is to see. So come along with me. Now, there is no admission fee to enter the state park. I'll put a link in the video description below for their website so you can get some more information. But I'm excited to see what there is to see here. And right up here, we have our first plaque, a tradition of remembering, a legacy of preservation. 11 years after the Battle of Rivers Bridge, a group of local young men formed the Rivers Bridge Confederate Memorial Association and reburied the Confederate dead here, about a mile from the battlefield. The Memorial Association began to meet at the site every year to recall the battle and the fallen Southerners. The area soon became known as the Memorial Grounds, and the Memorial Association's annual service to commemorate the Confederate dead, a tradition that continues to this day, eventually led to the preservation of the battlefield where the soldiers fell. Okay, and there's a picture of their, I believe, the first ceremony. We're going to be seeing that little grave area there in a couple of minutes. And it says, "To those who sleep in yonder graves will never be forgotten. G. Duncan Bellinger, Rivers Bridge Confederate Memorial Service, April the 26th, 1890. Okay, well, here's an overview of this area. And I believe they were calling this the Memorial Grounds. Let's go over here and look at this monument first. Okay, well, this one says, "In memory of our heroes of World War II, erected by the counties of Allendale, Bamberg, Colleton, and Hampton, May 1st, 1948. And then there's this cemetery here. All right, the gate says 1900 to 1997, Ayer, A-Y-E-R. I guess we can go in. Look at these little headstones, markers. Wow. Can't even read them. This one over here looks real recent, though. Ayer, a dedicated member of Colston Fire Department, number 214 firefighter for 15 years. Yeah. Robert Earl Ayer, January the 21st, 1972 to June the 5th, 2017, a loving son. Let's look at some of these other ones. So this must be the family graveyard. This one says Victoria Ann Ayer, born December 17th. I'm going to think it's 1868. Died July 23rd, 1905. Wow. This is amazing. Some very old graves and some that are fairly recent. Lewis M. Ayer, 1862 to 1926, beloved father, farewell, erected by the children. And there's some more. Harders and Ayers. Okay, let's go back out and find that Confederate graves. All right, back over near that World War II memorial. We have the U.S. flag, the South Carolina state flag, palmetto tree, and the Confederate flag, flying at half-mast to honor the dead. Our Confederate dead. Most of the Confederates killed here were Georgians, and most were unknown when they were reburied. But the local community remembered them as our Confederate dead, the fallen heroes of a common lost cause. The monuments placed over their mass grave in 1878 resembled a large tombstone, reflecting the grief of a region coming to terms with death and defeat. It became the focal point for remembering the dead and vindicating their cause at the annual memorial services. And then the gentle hands of fair women placed pure flowers upon the graves of the gallant boys in gray. The Barnwell people, May 1st, 1884. And there's a picture, the ladies placing flowers there. And right here is that same headstone in memory of our Confederate dead who fell in the battle at Rivers Bridges, February the 4th, 1865. Now, I'm not going to go in here, but there are the headstones of 10 soldiers. Isn't that something? That is absolutely amazing. Now, just right of the Confederate graves is this section here. And this is World War II, Korea. An Ayer there. World War II. Another World War II service member. World War II. World War II. World War II. And World War II. So this little area, Memorial Garden, seems to have commemorative spots for the various wars here. But that's really nice that they did that. And this is just an overview shot. Down there's that Ayer graveyard. The flags. They do have a picnic shelter here. The Confederate graves. And that's a small museum, but it's closed right now. Okay. And this plaque, Distinguished Speakers, Eloquent Speeches. The centerpiece of each year's River Bridge Confederate Memorial Service is an address delivered by a prominent speaker. Governors, senators, congressmen, and judges have stood here and thrilled the crowds with their oratory. Some speakers at early services solemnly addressed the war's human cost to an audience that had first-hand knowledge of its devastation. Others prayed the virtues of the common Confederate soldier in an effort to instill those virtues in the young. Later orators tackled the pressing social and political issues of the day, citing supposed lessons learned from the Civil War in support of their arguments. To be invited as one of the orators on Memorial Day at Rivers Bridge is an honor to be held in high esteem. And that was the Bamberg Herald, April the 30th, 1903. And here's a picture. James F. Bruns addresses the overflow crowd at the dedication of the World War II monument on the site in 1948. During his long career in state and national politics, Burns appeared at Rivers Bridge services 4 times between 1916 and 1959. Wow. And that was the dedication of that monument there. And on the other side of the picnic shelter, they have this plaque. The grandest annual gathering of the South. The Confederate memorial services at Rivers Bridge quickly attracted many people to remember loved ones lost in the war. Others were drawn by fellowship and good food available at the ceremonies. Politicians seeking votes and young people looking for fun followed the crowds. By the late 1800s, attendance ranged in the thousands, and large crowds remained common into the 1960s. Long after anyone who remembered the war had passed away, though the primary purpose of the gathering remained the same, to remember the Confederate dead and draw meaning from their sacrifice. And cars filled the field at the entrance to the memorial grounds during the 1950 service. That year's commemoration attracted 4,000 people. More than 500 people could find seats on the rustic benches of the memorial grounds shed. The original structure, built in the 1980s, was replaced by the present smaller version in 1972. It is the grandest annual gathering of the South. This voluntary meeting of thousands to pledge unwavering loyalty to the truth of the past and the duty of the future. The Barnwell people, May 4th, 1899. Wow, there you go. There is the shelter. To the right's the museum. That's the restrooms. This is a sign for the historic Causeway Trail, the battlefield 1 mile. And we're going to do that here in a couple of minutes. But I found a couple of monuments back here that I thought we would take a look at. Oh, big old spider web there. Let's go this way. It just says Bamberg County on this side. Let me see if the other side has anything. No, just a marker that says Bamberg County. Okay. And over here's another monument. I guess we're between counties. And this says Allendale County. I guess they're marking their territories. Huh. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and take the trail here. It's nice having all this shade back here. Well, what do y'all think so far? It's a little different. Now, there is a small day use area that I drove over to, and it basically looks like a small field with some picnic tables and a picnic shelter. I guess you could use the field for some games or whatever. And they had restrooms there. But I wanted to come over here to this side, the memorial section for the Confederate dead here, and see if we can take a look at the battleground at all. So I'll cut in back up here in just a few seconds. Okay, here's a small clearing on both sides of the trail. I'm not sure if that's significant to anything, but there they are. Huh. I wonder what that's for. It's just some logs stacked up. And here's some fencing. I wonder if this is part of the battlefield here. This is quite large of an open area. Now over there, I actually believe that's the backside of the day use area that I drove over to take a look at. So it's all interconnected, and that's good. Okay. So here's some new logs up here, all nice and green. So I guess they're going to be adding some more fencing here in the future. I'm just guessing. But it is nice that they are keeping this, preserving it for us and future generations still. All right, I cut in up ahead. Well, the path led to this, I think it's a road. Huh. Oh, okay. We're just on here for a little bit. There's a little sign right there that says trail to the left. Oh yeah, look at this. And they're actually down there cutting the grass. Pretty cool. All right, I'll cut back in up here. All right. We have a decision to make. This sign says walking trail to the left and battle trail straight ahead. So I think we should go try the battlefield trail. Maybe we'll actually get to see it. It seems like a few of the battlefields that I've been to here recently have been grown in with mature trees. So there's woods and foliage, ground cover. It's really hard to understand that you're looking at a former battleground or battlefield. But we're going to see what we shall see up here. And let's hope for the best. All right, be right back. Well, I've been walking about 5 minutes. And as you can see, it looks like we still got plenty of trail ahead of us. But the nice thing is, this trail is wide and it's flat and it has very little tree roots in it. So it's making it kind of easy to walk. Even though, ouch, something just bit me. Man, drew blood on my leg there. Okay. Anyway, it's a good trail except for the bugs. Let's keep going. Okay. We are still moving along here. I did find a sitting bench here in case you'd like to sit and rest for a couple minutes. It is nice out here, with the exception of lawnmowers way out in the background. It's nice and quiet. All right, we have a little post up here with some information. It says trail straight ahead still. So that's what we shall do. We're going to go straight ahead. All right, continuing on. Okay, we've got another sign up here on the left. Huh. It says walking trail to the left and the battlefield trail straight ahead. So you know we're going straight ahead. We're committed at this point. Oh. Right. The trails come out to this road and says to cross it, and Rivers Bridge Battlefield. So here we go. Well, see a few picnic tables on both sides. I didn't know you could drive in here. Oh my. Well, we got some exercise in. Got to see some scenery. And we're here. I read the signs up here. Oh. Welcome to Rivers Bridge State Historic Site. Huh. Well, oh man, all those spider webs. Okay, so we walked the blue line from the upper right there down here to the lower left. And now we're going to take the Battlefield Interpretive Trail. All right. The Battle of Rivers Bridge, February the 2nd and 3rd of 1865. Invasion. In January 1865, General William Tecumseh, Sherman's army of 60,000 Union soldiers invaded South Carolina. Its goal to link up with Ulysses S. Grant's forces opposing Robert E. Lee's Confederates in Virginia and destroy the South's ability and will to support troops in the field. Here, on February the 2nd and 3rd, 1865, part of Sherman's army clashed with Confederate troops along the Scioto River. In the two-day battle of Rivers Bridge, Confederates made the most determined resistance to Sherman's march through South Carolina. Sherman's army moved in two wings to confuse the Confederates and prevent them from concentrating their forces. His troops marched inland to cross the state's rivers, where they narrowed instead of along the coast, where they ran through wide marshes. Most of the soldiers who fought at Rivers Bridge were veterans. Years of bloody combat had taught them lessons for surviving on the battlefield. They would apply those lessons here. Help us preserve the past. The Rivers Bridge Battlefield Trail leads past remains of fortifications built by men who fought here. Please remain on the trail and do not walk across these fragile remnants of our past. The Battlefield Trail is approximately 3/4 of a mile long and follows an easy path that can be covered in about an hour. Okay, so here we go. Wow. So we are actually looking at the battlefield. It's nice that they have these fences here. I'm going to stop and take a couple pictures. Alrighty. It sure is pretty back here. It's hard to imagine the men fighting for their lives and their causes that they believed in here so many years ago. And we have a plaque here. The Battle of Rivers Bridge. The end is near. The Union victory broke the main Confederate line of defense in lower South Carolina. McLaws' troops retreated to another line behind the Edisto River, about 20 miles northeast of here, then continued to fall back as Sherman's army advanced. 2 weeks after the battle, Sherman's troops took Columbia. Less than 3 months after the battles at Rivers Bridge, the war ended. The Confederates who retreated from Rivers Bridge surrendered to Sherman's army in North Carolina on April the 26th, 1865. Each side lost about 100 men killed, wounded, or captured. Wow. Okay. I'm not sure where the trail's at, but I see some signs. Ow. In the line of fire, 2 cannons firing from this gun emplacement stopped the Union attack on February the 2nd, and for the rest of the battle, they kept the road through the swamp under deadly shell fire. But after Union troops crossed the swamp on February the 3rd, Confederates manning the cannons here became targets. Near the end of the battle, a Northern soldier firing from only about 10 yards away shot and killed Confederate artilleryman Lieutenant Simon S. Kirby and wounded 2 of his gunners, possibly at this emplacement. And here's that gunner's placement. Wow. You can see it looks just over that little ridge all the way around. Okay. Let's go read this next one. Death and defeat. As Mower's troops flanked the Confederate right, another Union division crossed several miles downstream to flank the Confederate left. Under a smoke screen created by rapid artillery and rifle volleys, the Southerners withdrew. Before our retreat, a Union sharpshooter crawled close to the Confederate cannons and killed Lieutenant Simon Kirby. Private W.M. Lark borrowed a rifle to shoot the Yankee. I took aim at the fellow and hollered at him, Lark recalled. When he looked up, I shot him clear through. Wow. Okay, let's keep moving. Okay, we've gone from that clearing down to this little trail. I believe it's cutting back around the battlefield here. There are spider webs everywhere. Okay, we got another plaque up here. Breakthrough. On February the 3rd, soldiers from the 32nd Wisconsin Infantry crossed the river on fallen trees upstream of the causeway. Seizing the opportunity, General Muller launched a major assault on the Confederate right. As diversionary attacks down the causeway made the Confederates concentrate their troops there, most of General Muller's division charged out of the swamp here. A Confederate position was doomed. We anticipated a flank movement and dreaded it more than a square face-to-face fight. And that was from Captain Benjamin S. Williams, 74th Georgia Infantryman. A bullet tore through Lieutenant Henry Markham's right thigh on February the 3rd. In leading the breakthrough at River's Edge, Markham's regiment, the 32nd Wisconsin Infantry, suffered its heaviest casualties of the war. The Johnnies were much surprised to see us come in that way. Private Joseph Mitchell, Strickling, the 39th Ohio Infantry. Wow. That's pretty cool. You learn a lot when you get out and about. All right, let's keep going. It may be hard to see, but through these trees is the ridge there that we were on the beginning of looking at the battlefield. So the soldiers would have to come up through the woods here, I believe, and up that ridge and face that cannon fire that we had read about. Isn't this something? Wow. A vulnerable stronghold. The Confederates were confident they could stop another head-on Union assault, but they feared for their safety of their flanks, knowing that they did not have enough men to resist attacks that might strike the ends of their thin line. I can hold my position here, General, until next Christmas, if you can keep them off my flanks. Lieutenant Colonel Edwin H. Bacon, the 32nd Georgia Infantry, to Major General Lafayette McLaws, February the 3rd, 1865. And here's an illustration of the battlefield. Wow. Isn't that something? All right. Flanking the Confederate line, Union General Muller's veterans knew it would be easier and less costly to go around the Confederate breastworks rather than attack them head on again. To bypass the Rivers Bridge fortifications, Mower ordered his troops to build roads around the Confederate right flank farther upstream. Other Union soldiers used the thick cover of the swamp to creep close to the Confederate line and shoot at the gunners manning the cannons. While the troops worked and fought through the night, a cold rain began to fall. Isn't that something? Wow. Okay, looks like we have 2 plaques here. A running battle on the River Road. On February the 2nd, Union troops moved up the road on the opposite bank of the Scalchachie, fighting a running battle with Confederate cavalrymen who tried to slow their advance. Among the casualties was Private John B. Woods of the 3rd South Carolina Cavalry. Shot in the leg, Woods later bled to death at Rivers Bridge, where his unit took up position near here on the Confederate left flank. And there's a map. The attack. General Joseph A. Mower's Union Division advanced rapidly to Rivers Bridge on the afternoon of February the 2nd and charged down the narrow causeway. Confederate cannon fire stopped the attack and forced the Yankees to take cover in the cold swamp. The battle was on, pitting 7,000 to 9,000 Union soldiers against 700 to 800 Confederates. Even after reinforcements arrived, the Confederates were still outnumbered, more than 8 to 1. The enemy swarmed in great numbers to the edge of the swamp, but our field pieces swept the road and our sharpshooters checked the movement through the swamp. Captain Benjamin S. Williams, the 47th Georgia Infantryman. General Joseph A. Mower commanded the 1st Division, 17th Army Corps in the attack on Rivers Bridge. Being cold and wet was preferable to getting shot. We ran across the road and plunged into the swamp so quick that they had not time to shoot at us, wrote Private Franklin Leish of the 63rd Ohio Infantrymen. And here is the swamp. Isn't this something? Wow. This is amazing. So, this is another view of the battlefield. We have made the pretty much the complete circle around the battlefield now. I'm glad I came out today. I hope you're glad that you have been following along. I certainly appreciate it. It's always good for me, and I think anyone that's able to get out and explore, search out different things. It's how we learn. And it's good to know about history for sure. It's a beautiful area, but it was once a battlefield. And we need to remember and pay respects to those who fought here on both sides. Well, we actually got to see the battleground, the battlefield. It was pretty amazing. We completed the circle there. I'm resting here at a picnic table here in the parking lot area. And then I got to head back on that 1 mile trail back to the Memorial Gardens at the front. And so I'll see you there. Wow. I made it back. What a trail. Whew. What a day. I'm so glad I came. I hope you guys are glad that you followed along today. This was a nice day. Beautiful way to go out into nature, learn a little bit about the battle. And again, I will put a link in the video description below so you can take a look, maybe learn a little bit more than what I could show you today in the video. All right, folks, it's your turn. You know, to go out and explore this, that, and the other, the whatnots in your life. And until next time, take care, be safe, bye.